For today's review we are traveling to Japan, and for some reason scale 500 models coming from that country often used to have way more printed details than what we otherwise see. Maybe because some of the models are made for in-flight sales purposes and the airlines simply insist on having good stuff and not the usual stuff. But whatever the reason might be, does it also apply to this model when it clearly is sold as a simple and standard Herpa model? That is what we want to find out in today's episode. And with that, hello and welcome to a new episode of Review, where we today will take a closer look at a Boeing 737-800 of Solaseed Air. At the front of the box we have a cutout, so we can get a glimpse of the aircraft model inside, and on top of the box we have the Solaseed Air branding. Now, since this is not a current release, in fact this model was released back in 2018, we have a still fairly decent box design, which means we have a lovely image of the aircraft, or rendition perhaps. And then underneath that we have, supposedly more information through a web link that, however, does of course not work anymore. And then we can see this is a limited edition. So nice to see a fairly decent box design from Herpa Wings, unlike what they currently are making. And here she is, the Boeing 737-800 in the current standard livery of Solaseed Air, a regional airline from Japan. And while this is the first and so far only appearance of Solaseed Air in Scale 500, it's not the first appearance of that airline, because it used to trade under the name Skynet, and back in 2003 we already had a Scale 500 airline model featuring that airline. But now the task at hand is of course to focus on this aircraft model to see what it actually offers collectors. And at the vertical stabilizer here at the tail of the aircraft we do find the Solaseed color scheme or branding. On the fuselage we then have the aircraft type specification, and we do have the full registration code of the aircraft. And towards the very tail of the aircraft we then also have a little bit of detailing around the APU exhaust. If we then move to the front of the aircraft, we can see here across the fuselage the writing and branding of Solaseed Air. And since this is a 2018 release, it of course does not yet benefit from Herpa's additional details, which they introduced in 2021. So unfortunately we don't have any static ports or any other markings here, even though, as I said, Scale 500 models from Japan often have more features in the print than what we otherwise see. So the cockpit section itself then also only offers us the cockpit windows with the metallic edges and the window wipers. The engine nacelles have been given this light greenish color from the Solaseed color scheme, but apart from that we only have the silver leading edge as printed details. The physical detailing is quite nice, I don't think I have anything to complain about here, especially not when we look into the front, where we can see the engine fan blades. On the fuselage, just above the wings, we have the emergency exits printed on, which leads us straight to the wings, which you should also take a closer look at, and here we definitely get a little bit more for our money. Starting off on the top side, on one side we have kind of the Japanese flag. On the other side we have the full registration code. Apart from that we of course have the flap slats and spoilers carved out quite nicely, and also the markings for the emergency exit, so really quite lovely work here. On the underside of the wing we then have this repeated with again the kind of Japanese flag, and the full registration code can also be found apart from more nice physical detailing. The 737 also comes with winglets, which has been applied with this light greenish color from the Solaseed color scheme, and also on the underside we have the branding. Looks overall quite lovely in my opinion. And since we are looking for more details, we can also note that on top of the fuselage we do find these two antennas indicated in print, which also really adds to this aircraft model's overall look. The landing gear on this aircraft model, that is the standard landing gear that Herpa uses for all their 737s, which is a fine thing because overall I think this looks perfectly alright. The only thing I am a little bit, annoyed about is the fact that we don't have any printed details around the front landing gear. On the belly of the aircraft we do find the Solaseed Air branding once more, however impaled by a hole in the fuselage for a stand that is of course not included with this aircraft model, so why destroy a printed detail? And then last but not least we do also have the doors to the cargo compartments printed on here at the back of the aircraft, and also here at the front of the aircraft. So there we have it, the Boeing 737-800 in the current standard livery of Solaseed Air in scale 1 to 500 from Herpa Wings. And what can we say about this aircraft model? Look, the fact that Japanese scale 500 models usually have more printed details is, I think, mostly down to the fact that many of them are not Herpa. Some are, but not all of them. And then, of course, also because simply the Japanese airlines insist on having a good product. Maybe something other airlines should also do. But, of course, this aircraft model cannot quite live up to what other Japanese scale 500 aircraft models have. Although it is, of course, also a single aisle where most of the other airliners we see are wide bodies, where you can have more details printed on. But it should be said that this model is of course not entirely deprived from detailing. Yes, it does mostly follow Herpa's standard from back in the day, so of course we don't have any additional printed details. And then yet again, I mean, the wings are quite nicely done, but then again we do also have these two antennas indicated in the print on top of the fuselage. That's definitely a detail that Herpa did not have as a standard. So overall, and of course considering that it is a 2018 release, this is not a bad scale 500 aircraft model, definitely also profiting from Herpa's really good 737 mold. But it is not an aircraft that will fit in many people's collections, and even if you want to have it, it is of course quite difficult to get a hand on outside of Japan. I had the luck to get it as a gift from someone who went to Japan, but that's of course not an option for everybody, so if you're hunting for it, good luck. Now with that, we have reached the end of today's episode. If you have enjoyed this video, then feel free to leave a like. If you're new around here, why not hit subscribe, and with that, thanks so much for watching. Hope to see you soon again. I'm checking out, and bye.